We were supposed to be boarding a flight to our dream vacation, our bags packed with swimsuits and sunscreen, our hearts buoyant with hope. Instead, we were stranded, rooted to the cold tile floor, surrounded by the chaos of happy travelers. The tickets were fake. The hotel was a lie. And my father, the man who'd spun this glittering promise, was gone. He hadn't just lied to us. He'd vanished with the $20,000 my grandmother had given us, her life savings poured into his hands like water into a cracked bucket. This wasn't just a canceled vacation. It was the moment our family shattered, broken by the one person we trusted to hold us together. The air felt heavy, like it was pressing my heart into my ribs, each breath a reminder of the betrayal that had gutted us. My whole life, I'd been taught to believe in my dad. David was a master storyteller, a magician with words who could make you see a future that didn't exist. For years, he'd painted this picture of the perfect family vacation, not just any trip, but the trip, 2 weeks in Hawaii. At the dinner table, his eyes would light up, his voice warm and hypnotic as he described black sand beaches, volcanoes glowing red at sunrise, luau's under a sky bursting with stars. It was more than a vacation. It was a promise of who we could be, happy, whole, a family without the cracks that had started to show. He made it feel like destiny, like Hawaii was waiting to heal us. Dad was the kind of man who could charm anyone. He coached my brother's baseball team, showed up to every parent-teacher conference with a grin, and had a joke for every cashier. To our small town, he was a pillar, a financial advisor trusted with people's life savings. But beneath the charisma, there was a hollowness I couldn't name, a shadow that flickered when no one was watching. Looking back, the signs were glaring. His grand promises, a treehouse for us kids, a new car for Mom, always fizzled into excuses. Our money was a tightrope we walked, my mom's face tightening whenever the mail brought another bill. She'd hide the envelopes, her voice too bright when I asked about them. "Just grown-up stuff, honey. Your father's got it under control." He had a way of turning questions into guilt. "Don't you trust me?" He'd say, his voice laced with just enough hurt to make you feel small. And we did trust him. He was my dad, the man who taught me to ride a bike, his hands steady on the seat as I wobbled forward. The idea that he could be anything but our protector was unthinkable. But those quirks, the deals that never closed, the savings that vanished, were cracks in the facade, warnings we were too desperate to ignore. The Hawaii trip was his masterpiece. He didn't just pitch it, he wove it into our lives, a thread that held us together through the stress of Mom's 2 jobs and Dad's endless almost deals. He bought travel guides, their glossy pages dog-eared on the coffee table. He started a vacation fund jar, a big glass pickle jar on the kitchen counter where he'd drop his change every night with a theatrical flourish. My little brother, Ethan, and sister, Lily, were enchanted, adding their allowance coins with wide-eyed dreams. That jar became a symbol, proof we were building something together. Dad would gather us in the living room, playing videos of Hawaiian dancers, describing the scent of plumeria flowers in a voice that felt like a spell. "These memories will last a lifetime," he'd say, his eyes locked on ours, pulling us into his vision. We needed that fantasy. Mom's exhaustion, the bills piling up, it all felt temporary, like Dad was about to deliver the world, just like he promised. I didn't know it then, but he wasn't building a dream. He was laying the groundwork for his final, devastating con. The pickle jar filled so slowly it was agonizing. Quarters, crumpled dollar bills, a monument to our hope but nowhere near enough for Hawaii. After months, the truth started to creep in for me and Mom, a quiet dread we didn't voice. But Dad, he was unshaken, flashing that confident smile that could silence doubt. "Don't worry," he'd say, "I have a plan." His plan was my grandma, the heart of our family, a woman who'd worked her whole life and saved every penny for the people she loved. Grandma adored Dad. He knew exactly how to play her, showing up with flowers, fixing her leaky faucet, calling her Mom with a warmth that felt so real. Looking back, it was a performance, calculated and cruel. One Sunday, he orchestrated a family dinner at her house, a scene so staged it makes my stomach churn now. He insisted we dress up, as if we were auditioning for his script. Over pot roast, he spun stories about our perfect family, glossing over Mom's overtime shifts and our dwindling bank account. After dessert, he brought out the travel guides, his props in this twisted play. He never asked for money outright. He was too clever for that. Instead, he talked about Hawaii with a heavy sigh, his voice thick with staged regret. "It's the one thing I want to give them," he said, looking at us kids with a fatherly devotion that could have won an Oscar. A real family memory before they grow up. But with the market the way it is, some dreams have to stay dreams. He let the silence linger, a trap baited with our hopeful faces. Grandma saw the pickle jar he'd brought to show how hard we're trying. She saw Mom's tired eyes, the weight of years spent believing in him. And she fell for it, her heart breaking for the family she wanted to save. "Nonsense, David," she said, her voice firm. "Memories are more important than money. How much do you need?" Dad played reluctant, shaking his head. "Oh no, Mom, I couldn't ask." But she insisted, and he sighed, pulling a printed sheet from his pocket like he'd rehearsed it. "Flights, a nice condo, a rental car, spending money to do it right, about $20,000. The number hit like a thunderclap. Mom gasped. "Mom, no, that's too much," she said. But Grandma was resolute, believing this was her chance to give us joy. "It's my money, and this is what I want to do with it." The next day, she withdrew $20,000 in cash, her life savings handed over because Dad convinced her it was easier, avoiding banking fees through a friend in the travel industry. Another red flag we were too dazzled to see. When he came home with that envelope, he made it a spectacle, fanning the bills on the coffee table like a poker player revealing a winning hand. "Here it is," he said, "our dream. Thanks to Grandma, it's coming true." The sight of that money, more than I'd ever seen, felt like proof he was the hero he claimed to be. For 2 months, our house was alive with anticipation. Lily made a paper chain to count down the days, each link a step closer to paradise. Mom smiled more, her shoulders loosening for the first time in years. Dad showed us updates, photos of a beachfront condo, printouts of flight confirmations with airline logos and confirmation numbers so real they never raised a doubt. Why would they? This was our dad, making our dream real. We were too caught in the magic to question the magician. The morning we were supposed to leave was a burst of chaotic joy. We were up before dawn, Ethan and Lily bouncing with excitement, their voices a chorus of alohas. Dad played the calm captain, checking our bags, herding us into the minivan. We sang off-key pop songs the whole way to the airport, the world outside a blur of possibility. At the check-in counter, Dad slapped our itineraries down with a grin. "Checking in for Honolulu," he said, "the Miller family." The agent typed, her smile fading. "I'm sorry, sir," she said, "I don't have a reservation under that name." Dad chuckled, smooth as ever. "Try David Miller." She typed again, her frown deepening. "No, sir, nothing. Do you have a confirmation number?" He read it off, his voice steady. She shook her head. "That's not valid in our system. Where did you book these tickets?" A cold dread coiled in my stomach, sharp and heavy. Dad didn't miss a beat. "Through a travel consolidator," he said, "a friend of a friend. Got a great deal." The agent's face shifted to pity, the kind you give someone who's been duped. "Sir, I'm afraid these tickets may not be legitimate. We have no record of this booking." "Fraudulent?" Dad scoffed, his voice louder now, drawing stares. "That's ridiculous. Check again." Mom stepped forward, her voice trembling. "David, what's going on?" "Just a glitch, honey," he said, but I saw it. A flicker of panic in his eyes, a crack in his perfect mask. "Let me make a call to my travel guy," he said, stepping away, phone to his ear. We stood there, a miserable knot in a stream of laughing families. Lily started to cry, her small hand clutching Mom's. Ethan's excitement drained, his face pale. Mom kept dialing Dad, her calls going to voicemail. "He'll be back," she said, her voice brittle like she was trying to convince herself. I watched Dad across the terminal. He wasn't talking to anyone. He was just holding the phone, his shoulders tense. Then he turned back, his face a mask of frustration. "Can't get through," he said, his voice too sharp. "You wait here. I'm going to the ticketing office to fix this in person. Don't move." He walked away, swallowed by the crowd. My heart pounded, a sick realization clawing at me. We waited 10 minutes, 20, 30. The final boarding call for Honolulu echoed, a knife twisting in my chest. Lily's sobs grew louder, Ethan's silence heavier. Mom's eyes were fixed on the terminal, willing him to return. But I knew. In that hollow, aching place inside me, I knew he wasn't coming back. I approached the counter, my legs like lead. "Excuse me," I whispered, my voice barely audible. "My father, the fake tickets. Is there any way to check if the hotel was booked?" The agent's pity was a physical weight. Honey, if the tickets were fake, it's likely nothing was booked. Scammers take the money and make false documents. They never deliver. Her words were a sledgehammer. The condo, the car, the luau's, all lies. A $20,000 lie. I stumbled back to Mom, who was slumped on a suitcase, her face buried in her hands. He didn't book anything, I said, my voice breaking. He took Grandma's money and ran. He left us. Mom looked up, her eyes empty, like the life had been drained from her. The airport, once a gateway to paradise, was now a cage, its lights mocking our shattered dreams. Calling Grandma was torture. Mom couldn't do it, her hands shaking too hard to hold the phone. Hi, Grandma, I said, my voice cracking. Sweetheart, are you in Hawaii? Is it beautiful? Her joy was a blade to my heart. Tears streamed down my face. Grandma, we're not in Hawaii. We're at the airport. The flight wasn't real. None of it was. Dad's gone. He took the money, all of it. Her gasp was a sound I'll never forget, followed by a choked sob. She cried, not for the money, but for the betrayal, for her daughter, her grandchildren, the man she'd trusted like a son. I broke her heart over the phone, and it felt like breaking my own. Getting home was a humiliation carved into my memory. We called an oversized taxi for our useless luggage, the driver's cheerful question, coming back from somewhere nice. Met with Mom's tears. Walking into our house, it was no longer home. It was a crime scene. Lily's paper chain still hung in the kitchen, the last link screaming vacation day. I tore it down, my hands shaking with rage, the paper ripping like my trust in him. Then we saw the full scope of his betrayal. It wasn't just the $20,000. He'd maxed out 2 of Mom's credit cards, their balances a gut punch of numbers. A joint savings account, a few $1,000s Mom had scrimped for, was empty. He drained every cent he could touch, a financial assault planned with the precision of a predator. This wasn't a scam gone wrong. It was a deliberate destruction of his own family, leaving us in ruins. For 2 days, silence. He'd vanished like a ghost. We filed a police report, the officer's grim face offering little hope. On the 3rd day, Mom's phone rang. Her hand trembled as she stared at his name. Put it on speaker, I said. She nodded, and I answered, my voice steeled despite the storm inside. Where are you? I demanded. His voice was calm, infuriatingly casual. Is that any way to talk to your father? You lost that right at the airport, I snapped. Where is the money, you coward? He sighed like we were an inconvenience. Look, it's complicated. A deal went south. I had to cover losses. I was protecting the family. I laughed, a bitter, broken sound that echoed in the quiet kitchen. Protecting us? By stealing Grandma's life savings and leaving us stranded? How is that protecting us? You wouldn't understand, he said, his tone dismissive. It's business. The money's gone. I'll pay it back when I can. When you can, Mom's voice was a raw whisper, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. David, she gave you that money. She trusted you. Our children trusted you. I trusted you. It was a mistake, he said, no remorse, just irritation. I'm sorry you're upset, but you need to move on. The grief in my chest turned to ice, cold and unyielding. No, I said, my voice steady, each word a nail in the coffin of his lies. We're not moving on. You don't get to destroy our lives and tell us to get over it. We're done. Don't contact us again. If you do, we'll press every charge we can. Theft, fraud, everything, stay away. You can't do that, he said, a hint of panic breaking through. I'm your father. No, I said, my voice ablade. You're just the man who stole from us. Goodbye. I hung up, the silence that followed louder than his excuses. Cutting him out was the hardest, easiest choice I've ever made. He didn't just steal $20,000. He stole our sense of safety, poisoned our memories with his lies. But he couldn't steal our strength. Mom, Ethan, Lily, and I became a unit, forged in the fire of his betrayal. We rallied around Grandma, holding her through her guilt, reminding her his actions weren't her fault. Mom took a 3rd job, her hands raw from cleaning houses. I worked full-time while taking night classes, my eyes burning from lack of sleep, but my heart set on a future he couldn't touch. It was brutal, a climb out of the wreckage he left, but we did it together. The scars are deep. I flinch when someone mentions Hawaii, the word a trigger for that day in the airport. But those scars are proof of what we survived, of the family we built from the ashes. We learned that family isn't defined by a father who walks away, but by the love of those who stay. Mom's laughter when Ethan nails a joke, Lily's drawings taped to the fridge, Grandma's warm hand in mine. These are our foundation now. He thought he left us with nothing, but he was wrong. He left us with each other, and that's more than enough. What would you have done? Would you have given him another chance or cut him out forever? Tell me in the comments. If this story hits home, please like and subscribe. Maybe it can warn someone else before their trust is broken. In the end, we're not defined by what's taken from us, but by what we build with what remains. And we're building something stronger than he could ever tear down.